Hello and welcome to ITENERT. Have you ever wondered about the world's most peaceful countries? Peace, some people say, starts with a smile. Peaceful societies enjoy greater income growth, stronger currencies, and higher foreign investment, not to mention political stability, and a greater sense of happiness among their citizens. Certain countries shine for their dedication to peace and steadiness in a world frequently marked by conflict and instability, as the Global Peace Index, GPI, shows. The GPI is a report created by the Institute for Economics and Peace that ranks 163 independent states and territories based on their levels of peacefulness. Its purpose is to find out the most peaceful countries in the world, and how every region is doing overall. A country's peacefulness is measured by a composite index of 23 indicators, each rated on a scale of 1 to 5. The lower the score, the greater the peace within the country. Further, GPI evaluates nations based on 3 key domains. The domains include societal safety and security, ongoing domestic and international conflict, and militarization. In this video, we will look into the top 10 most peaceful countries in the world. If you are new to the channel, kindly subscribe to the channel, like and share the video. Now the following countries are the top 10 most peaceful countries in the world 2024. Number 10 on the list is Malaysia with a global peace index of 1.427. Ranking as the third most peaceful country in the Asia-Pacific region, Malaysia holds the top global position in the ongoing domestic and international conflict domain, and ranks third in the militarization domain. Remarkably, this nation of about 33 million people has climbed 9 spots from last year, entering the top 10 for the first time. When the Peace Index was launched in 2008, Malaysia stood at the 32nd position. A multicultural society with a diverse mix of Malay, Chinese, Indian, and indigenous communities, Malaysia benefits from government policies promoting tolerance and encouraging inclusivity. Crime rates are low compared to other countries in the region, and a prosperous economy helps reduce poverty and inequality. Additionally, since gaining independence in 1957, Malaysia has enjoyed relatively stable governance, fostering a more harmonious social and political environment. Next on the list is Slovenia. A legend says that, when God distributed the land to all the nations, Slovenians were overlooked because there were so few of them. They are still just 2.1 million. To apologize, he gave them a little piece of paradise he saved for himself. Slovenia's territory, half of which is covered by forests, boasts one of the greatest levels of biodiversity on the continent. With only 1-hour drive from the capital Ljubljana, you can either swim in the Adriatic Sea or climb the Julian Alps. It is the only country from Central Europe to place in the top 10, making it the most peaceful nation in the sea region. Slovenia is a country in southern Central Europe that shares its borders with Italy, Austria, Hungary, and Croatia, and has a coastline within the Adriatic Sea. Its culture is a mishmash of Slavic, Germanic, and Romance. In June 1991, Slovenia declared independence from Yugoslavia and became a sovereign state. According to the Gini coefficient, its income inequality is among the lowest in the world. Slovenia is a member of the UN, EU, Schengen area, and NATO. With a global peace index of 1.395, Slovenia is the number 9 on the list of the most peaceful countries. Denmark is the 8th country on the list with a global peace index of 1.382. Denmark, a Scandinavian nation known for its rich history, robust economy, and commitment to sustainability and innovation, ranks among the top peaceful countries in the world. The population is primarily Danish, with significant ethnic communities including Turkish, Polish, Romanian, German, and Iraqi individuals. Denmark functions as a parliamentary constitutional monarchy, with Copenhagen serving as its central hub for culture, economy, and governance. Sometimes gaining 1 or 2 spots, and sometimes losing them. Since 2008, Denmark never dropped below the 5th place in the Global Peace Index, that is until this year. Now ranked 8th, Denmark's drop is more a result of other countries' improvements than a significant decline in its own score, which has decreased by only 0.037% from last year. Such relatively minor changes in the ranking only tell us that the kingdom is doing well. A safe country to travel and live in, Denmark is characterized by a high degree of political stability, freedom of the press, and respect for human rights. It also boasts a high level of income equality, and is frequently ranked as one of the happiest nations in the world. 7th on the list is Portugal with a global peace index of 1.372. Portugal marches to the beat of its own drum when it comes to peace and safety. Over the past few years, this nation of about 10 million people has emerged as one of the biggest climbers of the Global Peace Index, moving from the 18th spot it held in 2014 into the top 10. Ranking above the industrialized nation's average in terms of housing, work-life balance, personal security, and environmental quality, Portugal is also considered one of the top expat destinations due to its overall quality of life. Even better, there is no need to break the bank to enjoy the Portuguese way of living. The Republic remains one of the most affordable destinations on the continent. Lisbon is renowned for its dynamic culture, famed footballer Cristiano Ronaldo, and hosting the world's oldest continuously operating bookstore. Portugal's rich history is reflected in its well-preserved historic sites, including medieval castles, and charming cobblestone villages. As a member of the European Union, Portugal has seen notable economic growth, especially in tourism, technology, and renewable energy. Its dedication to peace, safety, and social stability has consistently positioned it among the most peaceful countries in the world. Switzerland takes the 6th position with a global peace index of 1.35. Switzerland, officially the Swiss Confederation, is a small landlocked country in Central Europe known for its commitment to peace, security, and international cooperation. Its policy of neutrality, stable democracy, and active role in the United Nations highlights its peaceful reputation. Additionally, Switzerland has multiple official languages, including Swiss German, French, and Italian, reflecting its diverse linguistic and cultural heritage. Switzerland is exactly as one would expect, a place with an exceptionally high degree of safety in society, superior political stability, and close to inexistent international conflict. However, its surprising degree of militarization, total active and reserve army personnel number approximately 147,000 out of a population of about 8.9 million, keeps this nation from rising into the top 5. Switzerland, along with other well-ranking peaceful nations such as Canada, Singapore, Norway and the Netherlands, is also among the world's top weapons exporters per capita. Still, by most measures, Switzerland remains a prosperous country, where linguistic and religious diversity is embraced. In 9th place in the United Nations Happiness Report, it also ranks above the average among OECD nations, when it comes to subjective well-being, income, health and education, and environmental quality. Still, by most measures, Switzerland remains a prosperous country where linguistic and religious diversity is embraced. In 9th place in the United Nations Happiness Report, it also ranks above the average among OECD nations when it comes to subjective well-being, income, health and education and environmental quality. Another country taking the 5th position is Singapore with a global peace index of 1.339. Singapore is a thriving island city-state in Southeast Asia, just off the southern end of the Malay Peninsula. It boasts a dynamic metropolis, excellent infrastructure, and a well-integrated transport network. The country's strategic location, political stability, and robust economy have made it a significant hub for international trade, finance, and tourism and among the most peaceful in the world. Additionally, Singapore has adopted a parliamentary democracy system since gaining independence in 1965. While the Global Peace Index report shows an increasingly violent world, Singapore has become more peaceful. Way more peaceful. When the ranking was first launched in 2008, Singapore occupied the 22nd spot. What prompted this remarkable jump? The IEP points out that the largest improvements in the ranking are usually broadly based while large deteriorations in peace are usually driven by just a few indicators. So, while Singapore scored highly in societal safety and security and low levels of ongoing domestic and international conflict, holding it back from the highest tier of the ranking, like Switzerland, is its militarization level. Why does Singapore need so many people in its police and military forces, and why is its arms expenditure so high? The city-state depends on seaborne trade for its prosperity, so having the naval resources to ensure the smooth passage of vessels through the Strait of Malacca, the narrow stretch of water that serves as a gateway between the Indian and Pacific Oceans, is crucial. New Zealand is next on the list. New Zealand, a small yet influential country in the South Pacific, ranks among the world's peaceful nations. It's recognized for its democratic principles, featuring free and fair elections, minimal foreign influence, and substantial political rights and civil liberties. Interestingly, the country's police force operates without personal firearms, reflecting its low rates of violent crime. After holding on to the number 2 spot in the index since 2017, New Zealand slipped 2 spots to number 4 in last year's edition of the Global Peace Index, and that's where we find it this year too. Scoring almost perfect marks in the domains of societal safety and domestic and international conflict, This peaceful country is widely considered a wonderful place to live. Still, due to an increase in weapons imports, and exports and upgrades on armed personnel carriers, New Zealand's score in the militarization domain fell by 6% in last year's edition of the index. At around the same size as the United Kingdom but with a population of roughly 5.2 million people, New Zealand ranks above the average among OECD members in education, healthcare, jobs and earnings. All this, however, comes also at a cost. The shortage of affordable housing is increasingly making it difficult for people with low incomes to buy homes, with the gap between rich and poor considered the top economic issue facing New Zealand by 20% of its citizens. New Zealand is ranked 4th on the list with a global peace index of 1.323. Third on the list is Australia with a global power index of 1.313. Austria, situated in Central Europe, and bordered by 8 countries, is celebrated for its breathtaking natural landscapes, and numerous world-renowned museums, galleries, and theaters. It is renowned for its annual music festivals, such as the Salzburg Festival, and the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra. Once the center of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, Austria became a small republic after World War I. Today, it's a federal republic with a president as head of state, and a chancellor as head of government. Since the end of the Cold War, this small landlocked country of about 9 million moved from its peripheral position, at the borderline between East and West closer to the center of a united Europe. As a young member of the EU, and outside of NATO, Austria prided itself on trying to get along with rival political blocs, and embracing new forms of cooperation with its neighbors. However, while Austria performs well in many measures of well-being such as income, jobs and housing, social tensions have been growing in recent years, fueled especially by anti-migrant campaigns of the popular right-wing Freedom Party, F.P.O. When in November 2020 an ISIS sympathizer shot and killed 4 people and injured 23 others in the city center of Vienna, the government responded by unveiling broad anti-terror measures that included the ability to keep convicted individuals behind bars for life, and facilitate electronic surveillance for those who are released. As a consequence, Austria experienced one of the largest deteriorations in peacefulness in Europe owing to a worsening of the terrorism impact indicator. Additionally, amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, its capital has been the epicenter of significant protests against both lockdown measures and the government's mandate to enforce compulsory vaccination for all citizens. Since then, the support for the FPO has only grown. Today it is the country's leading political party. Now is the time to move to the second on the list, but before that, if you are new to the channel, kindly subscribe to the channel, like and share the video. Let's hear you in the comment box below, if your country made the list. Now the second on the list is Ireland with a global peace index of 1.303. Ireland, known for its stable democracy and respect for political and civil liberties, has grappled with political instability and violence, especially during the Northern Ireland conflict. However, recent years have seen notable progress, earning Ireland recognition as one of the world's most peaceful countries in 2024. Its captivating blend of ancient and modern influences, scenic beauty, and welcoming people make it a favored destination for global travelers. Ireland is one of the wealthiest, most developed, and happiest nations in the world. It is also quite peaceful. In 2020, it managed to gain 7 positions, and land in the 4th spot of the Global Peace Report, the highest position it had ever attained in the ranking. In the following years, it occupied either the 3rd or the 2nd position, which is where we find it today. Make no mistake, Ireland did not become a peace-loving nation overnight. Centuries of tense relations with the United Kingdom can attest to that. Today though, due also to its long-standing independent status, and neutral army, meaning that it is not a member of NATO, the Irish Republic is routinely ranked as one of the safest countries in the world. That does not mean it has become immune from political and social turmoil. During the pandemic, for example, Ireland saw its share of violent anti-lockdown demonstrations. On page 84 of its study, the IEP reveals a striking piece of data. When it comes to the economic cost of violence, Ireland performs better than almost all countries in the world. Ranking 159th out of 163 nations, the toll is just 2.86% of the GDP compared to the global average, 13.5%. Only Malawi, Bangladesh, Indonesia and Madagascar perform slightly better in this domain. Iceland is the most peaceful country in the world with a global peace index of 1.112. Iceland is a tranquil and enchanting country positioned in the North Atlantic Ocean, between the continents of Europe and North America. Renowned for its breathtaking natural landscapes and forward-thinking social policies, Iceland has been the most peaceful country since 2008. Unlike many nations, Iceland doesn't have a standing army and relies on its small coast guard and international agreements for defense. Icelanders can sleep well at night. They live in the most peaceful nation in the world. No news is good news when it comes to tranquil Iceland. It is the 17th year in a row that it retains the #1 spot since the index began in 2008. With no standing army, navy or air force, and the smallest population of any NATO member state, about 390,000 people, Iceland also enjoys record low crime rates, to the extent that policemen generally don't carry firearms, an enviable education and welfare system, and ranks among the best nations in terms of jobs and earnings and subjective sense of well-being. But did we say that Icelanders' idyllic peace faces no threats? In 2022, the Reykjavik police arrested 4 people in connection with preparations for a suspected terrorist attack. That was the first year that the country recorded any of such activity. Luckily, no further incidents have been reported since then. Thank you very much for watching the video to end. If you are new to the channel, kindly subscribe to the channel, like and share the video. You can also watch my other videos on the screen now. Thanks for watching and bye for now.